First and foremost, I'd like to give all honors, praises, thanksgivings, greetings, glories, salutations, respects to Yah, Ha, Wah, Ba, Ha, Sham, Yah, Ha, Wah, Shai, Ba, Ha, Sham, Ra, Ka, Ra, Wa, K, Ha, Kwadash, Yahweh. He is, he has been, he will be Yah, meaning he as a single letter prefix to a word in ancient Paleo Hebrew. Yah, he. Hawa, from the word Haya, both meaning exist, to be, to become. Yah, he. Hawa exists. Yahweh, he exists. Ba, in. The sound ba is our word in. The sound ha is our word the. The sound or word sham means name, in the name. Ba, in, ha, the, sham, name. Yahweh Shai, he is salvation, he is deliverance, he is help, he is succor. Yahweh Shai, he is liberty, he is victory. Yah, meaning he, as a word single letter prefix in ancient Paleo Hebrew. Hawa Shai, from the word Yashai, meaning salvation, deliverance, liberty, victory. Yah, he, Hawashai, saves. Yah, Hawashai, he delivers. Only the true Hebrew Israelites of the 212 tribes are so-called dark, black, browns, people of the world, so-called African Americans brought over from the West Atlantic slave trade, so-called Aboriginal originals, so-called Native, Aboriginal, original, and Native Americans, Salakia, so-called, and Hispanic Latinos from North South America and dispersed all over the world, but whose original homestead in Israel, Jerusalem, Canaan, Levant. God, Lord, the Creator, the Most High. English words, titles, names, verbs, sounds have very little power. English has very little power, but it has power on the left-hand side. Yahweh, Yehovah, Ahaya, Yuhu, Yehu, Yehoah, Yuhu, also will not help you or save you if prayed and invoked to. These are pronunciations. While in the correct language, Hebrew, they are in the incorrect, wrong, even wicked and evil pronunciations, or Salakia, dialect forms such as Aramaic, Yiddish, Modern, or other languages altogether. So, and thus, fuck around and find out, pray and invoke to anything other than Yahweh, and you will be set on motherfucking fire. Yahweh Shai, Christ the Messiah, the Anointed, the Savior, are only titles, once again, only words in the English, a bastardized tongue with very little power on the left-hand side, albeit power. Jesus Jesus, Isha Yeshua Yahushua, prayed and invoked to, will only get you unalive. You are either praying to nothing, made up names in made up languages, or real languages but not the correct language, we'll say it that way. Ancient Paleo Hebrew is the correct language, or pronunciations in the correct language but in correct dialect form. Either way, they are, or demonic entities. Either way, Salakia, you're either praying to nothing or a devil that's going to come and unalive you and not save you. Rakah, Rawak, Hakwarash, and the reason I say it in two ways is because we have been taught, or we say it in Great Millstone, and again, I am not in Great Millstone, I am just a follower. So I've learned from the great men, head apostles of Great Millstone, that we are saying Rakam, which is both the word Rawak and the Ha slammed together It really should just be either rock or rawak, because rakah is saying spirit thee. And I know that then you say Quadash, and so it's Spirit the Holy, which is a reverse syntax of English. Syntax meaning the organization or the way in the words are put down. So, like in Spanish, some of their sentences, some of their words are reversed. They don't say hot dog, they say perro caliente, which is a hot dog, but really, if you translate it back to English, they're saying dog hot, just reversed. And they say that a lot, and other languages do that. We reverse words or we reverse phrases. That's what syntax is. So and thus, Rakah is actually spirit thee. If you want to say it how it is actually spelled in the Bible, it is Rawak, spirit, Ha, the, Qua, with the Q sound, Qua, Dash, Rawak, Ha, Quadash. Either way, it's okay though, because when you say Rakah, Quadash, you're still saying it. You're just not, for lack of a better phrase, inflecting it or converting the word to its proper tense. And it's not really tense thing, but to its proper form of spelling, I should say. So and thus, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakah, or Rakah HaKodash, or Rawak HaKodash. So and thus, double peace on the of GMS, Gurmeslan, Tahar, Ramla, Gabar, Rakah, Rawak. Top men, leaders, past, present, future, head apostle, prophets, predestined from the beginning of creation for liberty, victories, justice, salvation, kingdom, ship, godhood. When whom the world inly calls Jesus breaks through the clouds and identified flying objects identified as the airships, spaceships, gunships, aerial vehicles of Yasharal, Yahweh, Yahweh Shah, hopefully like principalities. When they break through the clouds, to save the hopefully like 144,000 men, 1/3 men, women, and children from the Hebrew Israelites. The rest of you 2/3 reprobates have got to be set on motherfucking fire. Then we'll all know who Yahweh Yahushua is and that hopefully elect. Because the rest of you will either be unalive via thermonuclear fire, laser beams, munitions, dogs, cats, birds, cyborgs, robots, demons, devils, interdimensional apparition, entity deities, except for the hopefully elect. And if you're not unalive by any one of these things, you're going to be alive just to start hardcore slavery. So in the Shalom to the document on the highways and byways, internet information, super high pushing to consider the four corners of Brother Sharoth one more time. I did a lengthy and slow introduction because pretty much this is the point of my video, like the last video, just going through the Paleo Hebrew alphabet and helping one understand a little bit about it and how it works so that one can understand how to phonetically correctly, righteously sound out the proper name of the power entity deity of the Hebrew Bible and his only begotten Son. Breaking it down correctly, i.e., the meaning of it, again, through the Paleo Hebrew. So, and thus, read one or two scripts right quick. Daniel Mace, New Testament. Then I looked, and I saw a lamb on Mount Zion, and with him 144,000 true, genetic, and spiritual Hebrew Israelites, having his name and his father's name writ on their foreheads. 1770, John Worsley's New Testament. Then I looked, and behold, a lamb standing on Mount Zion, and with him 144,000, having his father's name written on their foreheads. See how this one only has having his father's name written on their foreheads? But for the most part, it says him and his father's. Here's another version that says only his name. Thomas Howey's New Testament. And I saw, and lo, a lamb stood upon the Mount Zion, and with him 144,000, having the name of his father inscribed on their foreheads. So there's a good bit of ones that just say his father, but for the most part, if you read most of them, a good 70% of them actually have the correct version or the correct wording. H.T. Anderson's New Testament, and I saw, and behold, the Lamb stood on Mount Zion, and with him 144,000 that had his name and his father's name written on their foreheads. One more. We'll go Rotherham. Emphasized Bible, and I saw, and lo, the Lamb standing upon the Mount Zion, and with them 144,000, having his name and his father's name written upon their foreheads. And then back to the chart of the AhLaP. We have in America through the Roman letters alphabet, which comes from the Koine Greek alphabet, which comes from the Hebrew AhLaP Tha or AhLaP Bayath, but really our first or our last letter is Tha, so it should be really AhLaP Tha. Either way, anyway, AhLaP Bath. Going through the letters again, and I'm going to repeat either the special letters or the letters that are confused with other letters, and I'll explain. Ah, ah. And as I've said before, I'll say it again, but it's not that big of a deal. We'll be saying all this correctly in the kingdom, but the letter ah has a slight breathing H sound. In fact, it's the only one that doesn't have an A attached to it. As you'll notice, the ba, the ga, the da, the ha, so on and so forth have an A after the actual initial consonant, except for A. Ah, it has an H, if you can see the screen and tell. A, H is the phoneme or the noise that the ah makes. So while we are saying ah, it should really be ah, but just barely with the H sound. Either way, I think is correct. You can either say ah or ah. Ba, ga, da, ha, wa, za. The eighth letter of the alphabet is guttural in the throat and pretty hard to pronounce. In fact, the hardest letter to pronounce. La, ya, ka, a K sound. Ka, ka, ka. La, ma, na, sa, ayin. Now the sound or the full pronunciation of this letter is ayin, but you never say the full pronunciation in a Hebrew word. You only say the first sound, I, like the I in English, as in myself, me, myself, and I. Also, this is shaped like an eyeball because this is where we get the word I. The letter ayin actually means I in Hebrew, and that's where we get ayin. Pa, taza, 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 because it got two phonemes, two consonants, two sounds in one letter. Taza. Qua, qua, because it is confused with the ka and the k. Qua is a Q sound. Ra, sha, ta. Sha and ta are made up of three, if you can tell, or have an H in between the consonant and an A. Sha, tha. So and thus, I'll come back with more of the ancient Paleo Hebrew, break down more of how to pronounce, how to read it and how to pronounce. Until inshallah,